about things that you can start to think about and bring into your own life that are practical and helpful to your health and wellness. So, hi, my name is Sarah Torino of the Whole Woman Wellness Formula, and we're super glad that you are here. Today, we're going to be talking about something that I love, and that is gut health. I think it's really interesting. I'm always fascinated when this comes out of my continuing ed journal. I'm always fascinated when, like 10 years ago, um, some of us were talking about gut health. And now, more and more research is pouring in, and more science is supporting the fact that gut health is something to really, really pay attention to. So today I wanted to talk about some of the continuing ed research that came forward with regard to your gut health and sleep and how they're connected and why it's important for you to pay attention to, because it is important for you to pay attention to. So I love science. I love science, but one of my superpowers is taking scientific information and explaining it in a way that is accessible and can be received. So let us begin. I have notes, so I'm going to be looking off and looking back on. So the first thing I want to talk about is just about the importance of sleep. We spend about a third of our lives sleeping, which ultimately ends up to be about 25 years of sleep. Um, but around 35% of adults in the United States specifically are sleep deprived, either due to a sleeping disorder or not making sleep a priority. And how science defines sleep deprived is that it's less than 7 hours. Yeah, it's less than 7 hours of sleep, and it starts to impair your well-being, and it kind of results in kind of a suboptimal system in both a psychological realm and physiological realm. So there are lots of health implications of lack of sleep: diabetes, heart disease, obesity, Alzheimer's, depression, cancer. So there are some real health repercussions of lack of sleep. So there's the background. Let's now move into why sleep is important. First of all, I think people think of sleep as a restorative time, and yes, it is. It is a restful time. But what you may not realize is that sleep is actually a really active time metabolically. So while you're resting, there's a lot happening in your system. All of the parts of your system are affected during sleep. So one of the quotes that popped out from my continuing ed journal that I thought was profound was, it said, "All aspects of our being, systems, organs, tissues, mind, are supported or compromised based on how much and how well we sleep." Sleep is a big deal. So specific to this conversation, I just want to talk about it with regard to sleep supporting two systems. Let's talk about the brain, let's talk about the body. Sleep supports brain function, problem solving, memory retention, concentration. It regulates emotions. It improves coping skills and inspires creativity and interesting ways of solving problems. Body. Sleep boosts immunity. It helps balance your metabolism and hormones. It helps to regulate your blood sugar levels. It helps to manage blood pressure, suppresses cancer growth, repairs, rejuvenates, and renews anything that you've used during the day that needs it. So, thumbs up for sleep. This is why for the whole woman wellness formula, we spend a whole module on sleep because it's a priority, and making it a priority is really important to shifting kind of the way that you look at your wellness, because you're a whole system, right? So now let's talk about your gut. The gut is more than digestion, just like sleep is more than rest. The gut essentially is well, it's called the enteric nervous system, and it's responsible for many things like regulating your mood, your behavior, emotions, higher cognitive function. And for the fact is research is still uncovering more and more and more connections between your gut and the systems of your body. So even this today, I'm so, like in 3 years, there's going to be so much more information. So, yeah, three things that I think come forward around the gut that are important for you to know in case you didn't is number one, uh, your gut supports decision making and sleep patterns that regulate immunity. 70% of the cells in your gut that provide immunity reside in the gut. So if you're fighting something off, 70% of the cells in the body reside in the gut that are responsible for keeping for immunity. So important to keep that healthy. The gut is a microbiome of lots of different bacteria that are unique to you. I have mine, you have yours. We each have a different system. And that microbiome is responsible for nutrient absorption, immune responses, again, coping ability, sleep, and your state of mind, right? So they're connected in that when you are sleep deprived, now again, that's less than 7 hours a night. When you're sleep deprived, it throws off your circadian rhythms, which changes the composition of your microbiome. Conversely, when the composition of your microbiome is altered, it negatively affects your sleep patterns. So this is a cycle to pay attention to. And one affects the other all the time. So let's talk about sleep deprivation with regard to your appetite and with regard to metabolism. So sleep deprivation affects many things hormonally, but two key players that we're going to talk about today that I think are really interesting to talk about are ghrelin and leptin. Those two hormones, now remember, again, huge amounts of research still taking place with regard to the hormones that are affected by gut health. Today I just want to focus on two because I think they're fascinating, ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is responsible for promoting the slow waves of NREM or deep sleep. It communicates hunger and it regulates insulin. Leptin communicates satisfaction. I'm all done eating. I'm content. All done. Leptin also influences the balance of energy, kind of like your output and input. So let's say you've done a lot of output, it communicates to the system, I need some more nutrition to support all of this output that I'm doing. So it kind of serves as the gatekeeper between how much you're doing and how much you need to support that doing. So these two, when they're working optimally, you have a healthy appetite, you know when you're full, you feel satisfied after you eat, and you have come into kind of a balanced weight for yourself, naturally. But when these two are off kilter due to sleep disruption and or compromised gut health, they start working suboptimally. And what that looks like is that there's some miscommunication happening in the body. In the ghrelin department, it means that you're kind of there's an increased appetite for things that give you instant pleasure, baked goods, things that are digested really quickly. So first of all, there's an increased appetite, and there's an increase in cravings for things that you want quick nutritional hits from. And it alters your decision making. So it kind of starts to turn on this primitive area of your brain where it's like, must eat now. I don't care if it's fast food. I don't care if it's a bag of potato chips. I just need to eat now. So when the ghrelin chemical is or hormone is not working optimally, this is the kind of stuff that starts to come up. Leptin, when it's not working, stick with me. I promise we're going to tie it all up. Little bow. Leptin, when it's not working optimally, that kind of results in overeating because remember that's responsible for communicating satisfaction. So that can kind of turn off the red light of, oh, I feel satisfied into green light of eat and not be paying attention to how much. It kind of overrides that satisfaction communication with the brain. You're eating by emotion, a lot more eating by emotion, and also it slows your metabolism and starts to increase fat storage. So if these aren't kept in check, this is the communication that starts happening between your brain and your body. And if you're not aware of it, now imagine you're caught in this cycle and you're not aware of it, it just feels like a roller coaster ride, right? You're just never, it's just this constant, and there's no choosing or consciousness because everything's disrupted. Again, research is digging into this all the time. This is just two of the hormones that are affected by your gut health and your sleep patterns. Another quote that came out from the article that I thought was really interesting was, it said, less sleep shifts your entire hormone network to stimulate hunger and create cravings, leaving us unsatisfied and struggling for weight balance. Yeah. So, again, let's get right to how can we start to positively affect our system? Because I'm a big fan of setting yourself up for a system that's working in harmony. Make sleep a priority, right? Make sleep a priority. You can jump into that cycle and it will automatically, once you jump into that cycle of gut health and sleep, it will automatically start supporting the other. But here are the recommendations that came from the article, but also I'm going to throw in a couple for you. Okay. First thing, add more plants and vegetables to your plate. These do many things to support you, but one of the just a couple things, they support your immunity, they reduce inflammation, they result in fewer nighttime wakings and just longer, better sleep. It's a microbiome supporter, and they naturally start to balance a lot of hormones. 2, eat small amounts of fermented food, sauerkraut, kimchi, apple cider vinegar a little bit. Just add it into your salad dressing. Now I'm adding one. Probiotic, daily probiotic. Yeah, find one that works for you and start taking a daily probiotic to support your microbiome. 4, minimize caffeine. Obviously, it messes with your sleep cycle. This number that came forward in the research, I was like, whoa, no caffeine at least 10 hours before bedtime. Front load your caffeine if you're going to have it. Cup in the morning and start thinking, if I'm a 9 o'clock bed person, back time it. What does that look like? Oh, okay. That's a lot of time without caffeine. Caffeine really disrupts your system. But again, I'm sticking myself in here. Next thing, stay hydrated. Don't depend on caffeinated beverages for hydration, but just because you're not drinking them, continue to drink liquids that are not caffeinated. Yeah, so stay hydrated. because that also helps support the system. Make dinner your smallest meal. That's going to shift some things, both culturally speaking, but I just want you to consider that if you start just slowly, even just using a smaller plate or a bowl for your dinner, just start to shift slowly, it results in positive sleep patterns. If you start to, have lunch be your biggest meal of the day and dinner a lighter meal, it really helps with kind of setting your system up for optimum sleep patterns. And finally, I'm going to throw myself into this, but what they recommend is eating mindfully. I, of course, am going to take it one step further, and that is to offer yourself presence while you eat. Chew your food, be present, be calm, set your system up to receive your meal with presence. Turn your phone off, shut your computer down, eat, be here now. That is what I have for you today. I would love to hear what you think. I think that this is something that you can make small shifts. Again, I am not a big fan of life overhauls. They don't tend to be sustainable. But you can start to weave in this consciousness of these things and start to practice them with regularity. And it, I promise, will help support you as a whole. Have a great day. I would love to talk further about this. If you have any questions, let me know. Have a great one. See ya.